Okay, hi everyone. I'm going to do a behind the scenes for you of how I'm going to do a self-portrait here with my daughter. So we're just going to use this spot here. As you can see, this is our old dining room full of baby stuff right now. So this is just kind of our pullback here. We're going to stand right there by that curtain where she's playing. This is where I have my camera set up right here. And I'm going to use my interval timer. So I'll show you that here. So right now I have it set up for a 30-second delay, and then I'm using the shutter speed on the camera itself. I have a new air type interval timer here, but I'm using the shutter speed on the camera. So I have this exposure time set at 0. I'm going to take a picture every 3 seconds. And this I have here, this is how many pictures I want it to take. And I'm just going to have it keep taking them until I stop it. So I'm going to get the timer all set. There's a 30-second delay, and then I'm going to get my phone here on a tripod so that you can kind of see us as we take some pictures, and then I'll show you how I edit the picture as well. So hopefully that'll be helpful for you. Oh, and real quick, these are the settings that I have. These are the settings that I'm going to use for the picture to start here. I have 1/250th shutter speed, f4.0 and ISO 1600. And the reason I'm using the interval timer is because my current camera, my Canon 6D, does not have one built in. So that's why I often use interval timer for self-portraits. So hopefully that's helpful. And here we go. Hold the baby. Let's scoot over here. Aw. Snuggle the baby. Can you put your hands up on mommy's belly? Just like that. Aw. Let's see. You love the baby? Oh, are you looking at the camera? Yeah. Such a sweet girl. Can you look up at mama? Look at mommy. Aw. Can you give the baby a kiss? Oh, do it again. Give it a kiss. Give a kiss. Do a long kiss. Can you do a long kiss? Step kiss? You baby, here, put your other hand up. Step kiss? Aw. Give mommy a kiss. Okay, so I have all the pictures from our quick little 1-minute session uploaded here into Lightroom. So I just wanted to show you, go through kind of how I cull quickly here in Lightroom and then pick one to end up editing. So, this first picture here was of course taken as before I got in the frame as the interval timer had started. Same with that one. We're still kind of getting situated there. That's starting to get better. My hand's not really doing anything specific. That's getting cuter there. Oh, I love that one with her little smashed face. So that's an option. So I'm going to put a flag on that one. I wish she was making eye contact there. That's getting closer. That's better. Let's flag that one. Oh, I like that where I can see my hand. I like that even better. So I'm going to unflag the previous. And that's cute where you can't see my hand too. I love how she's looking up at me here, so I'm going to definitely flag that one. She's kind of squinting and making kind of a goofy face on those. That's cute where she's giving my belly a kiss, but I think there's a better one later. I like that where she's kind of making eye contact, so let's flag that one. That's the kiss one. I knew we kind of had one that was better. And that's okay. I wish she was kind of hugging the belly more. And there she kind of started to run off. So that was the end. So let's go into the library here and we can see which ones are flagged. So let's just quickly select the ones that aren't. Oops. And we'll just delete those from our disk. So we have saved all the flagged ones. So Let's go back into develop here. I think the one I'm going to choose to edit is this one where she's looking up. I have one from earlier in my pregnancy where she's making eye contact with the camera, so I think I'm going to end up editing that one. So we'll go ahead and do that next. Okay, so after I culled the photos, this is the one I think I'm going to select to edit. So I'm going to do a few things here in Lightroom. Then I'm going to take it into Photoshop and adjust the canvas a little bit and add some overlays and then bring it back to Lightroom to finish it up. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply my color preset to it, and that just adds a little bit of depth, a little bit of luminance to reduce noise. I'm going to even bump that a little bit more. I'm going to bump the exposure on this a little. There we go. And then I'm going to come down here and just use auto and see how that does with the lines. I don't love that, so I'm going to turn that off, and I'm going to go ahead and use the guided upright adjustment. So I'm going to go right along the top of this trim here, and I'm going to make my first line right there. And then I'm going to go right along the floorboard down here and make another line there. And then let's go ahead and I'm going to go right inside this trim line. There, make a vertical, and then let's go ahead and go right along the edge of the buffet we have over here and make another vertical. Okay, so I'm happy with how that looks. That looks a little better to me. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just use a radial filter right over her face here and turn that a little bit. I want her face to be brightened up a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then the other thing that looks a little dark to me are her legs. So for that, I'm just going to use a little exposure brush, a little more feather on there, and just go right over her legs. There. Don't want it to look too bright because they're falling below the light source of the windowsill there, so they're naturally going to be a little bit darker. Okay, I'm just going to do that one more time on this back leg here. Just brighten that up a touch. Okay. So then I'm going to take a graduated filter and I'm going to come in from behind here. I'm going to drop the exposure down on that. And I'm just going to bring that right up behind us. And just drop that exposure down behind us to add some depth there. Okay, so that looks pretty good there. And then one more thing, I'm just going to use a radial filter here. We have some vases and they're kind of getting a reflection on them on our buffet there, and I just want to darken those up. A little bit there so they aren't distracting. Okay, so then let's go ahead and go Photo, edit in Adobe Photoshop, and we'll send that into Photoshop. And then I'm going to do a few different things in Photoshop. I'm going to extend the canvas a little bit to put me a little, us a little bit more, kind of the rule of thirds. I'm going to smooth out some of the wrinkles in the curtains, and then I'm going to add a couple overlays to just add a little bit of richness and a little bit of kind of a fine art feel to the photo. And those overlays will tweak the colors a little bit, so then I'll bring it back into Lightroom and just finish up in there. So, all right, so now we're all loaded into Photoshop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go layer, duplicate layer, and I'm just going to duplicate my background copy there. And then I'm just going to zoom out because I'm going to play with the crop here. So I'm going to pull this down from this bottom left corner to extend the canvas at our feet a little bit. And then I'm going to kind of move the image a little to the right there. Not quite that far. Okay, right about there. And then I'm going to make sure that the content aware is checked there. And I'm just going to hit my check mark. And so the content aware, if you're not familiar, it kind of uses the pixels around the area that you're selecting or that you're expanding of your canvas. It uses the nearby pixels to kind of guess what you want to fill in those new areas with. And sometimes it does a good job and sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes you'll have to tweak things a little bit, and that's fine. I'm okay with doing that. But I just want to get it a start here. I don't want to be right in the center of the canvas. So I'm just going to try to tweak that a little, and we'll see how the content aware does in this case. Sometimes it takes a little time to kind of guess on what you're trying to accomplish here. Okay, let's see here. So not too bad. A little bit mess up there in the corner, and then looks like through here, and it kind of duplicated the rocking chair a little bit. So we'll definitely tweak that some. So let's go ahead and try to fix some of those things. I have my patch tool selected. I'm just gonna circle around that spot and then just drag it over to kind of fix that. Same thing here. Let's just see if we can fix some of these spots. That chair looks like it was kind of duplicated. I'm actually gonna maybe remove the chair itself over here too, because my eye is kind of being drawn to that. So let's just try to move some of those out of there. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is, let's see, this part's kind of bothering me there. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and flatten that image out. So we're gonna go layer, flatten image. And then we're gonna go layer, duplicate layer. And then I'm just going to put a filter on, and I'm gonna do a Gaussian blur. So blur, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And then I'm just gonna play around here. I'm looking at the curtain, and what I'm looking for is a number where the curtain is nice and blurred to smooth out some of the wrinkles in it. About 16 or so, and I'm gonna hit OK. Then I'm gonna hit a layer mask, and I'm gonna do Command I to invert the layer mask. It's a black layer mask, so I want a white brush. So I'm gonna make sure that's selected there. And then I'm just gonna run that over kind of some of these spots that look a little uneven. I'm gonna try to avoid going right over any curtain edges, because that's not really what I'm looking to do here. I'm just trying to kind of smooth out some of these splotches that I made. There, let's So look right along in here, it looks a little splotchy. Take out some of these wrinkles. So just trying to avoid running right over the edge there. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. Let's go right down here over this. Okay. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go layer, flatten image. I'm just going to grab my spot healing brush and I'm going to just go right over that spot, little spot there. It's kind of bothering me. Another little one up there. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so then the next thing I want to do is add in some overlays. So let's go ahead. I'm actually going to, now that I'm looking at it, I'm going to crop it in just a little tighter. From the bottom there. Just a little bit. Okay, now I have my overlays pulled up here. There's a couple that I really like. One of them is this Awakening one. So I'm going to try adding that one first. This is a lightscaping overlay by Jessica Drazen. So you'll see it'll kind of convert the colors. I'm going to select soft light to kind of blend it in there, and then I'm going to play around with the opacity a little bit. And then check mark to place it. So I like how that looks. The other one I like to use a lot is this Mysteries one, so I'm going to add that one. And that's actually a texture overlay, but I don't want the texture part of it. So I'm going to add the overlay and then remove the texture. And then I'll just see if I want to keep both of them selected or if I want one or the other. But those are two of my favorites. They kind of give the image a little bit of warmth, a little bit of a painterly feel, fine art kind of feel to the image. So let's see here. Go with soft light there. That's obviously way too strong, so we're going to bring that opacity down quite a bit there. And then let's remove the texture from it once it's placed. So we're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and then to remove the texture, you just want to have that overlay up over 100. And that'll kind of remove the texture from it. And then we'll click these on and off and kind of see what we like. Okay, so this was just with Awakening there. That's with both of them. I do like how that one kind of brightens up her dress. And then that's without Awakening and with, so I like that. I think I like them both selected, so I'm going to leave them both on there. And I'm just going to go File, Save, and that's going to send the image back into Lightroom. And then we'll do, it obviously changed her skin tone a little bit, so I need to brighten her back up and maybe cool her down a touch. It's definitely warmed things up. So
Let's send that back into Lightroom. Okay, so I'm just going to click back here on our original Lightroom edit. I'm going to go Photo, Create Virtual Copy. And then I'm going to reset that virtual copy. So this is where we started here. That's our straight out of camera. This was our Lightroom edit and Photoshop edit. So definitely need to cool it down just a touch here. It's gotten pretty warm. I'm going to brighten the whole image up just a little bit, and then I'm going to use a radial filter on her, not quite that much. Just to brighten her up a little bit there. Okay, and then let's just check her. So the spread looks pretty good. It does need to just be brightened up a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good. So that is how I would edit that image. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Thanks for watching.